Go. What's going on, people? Welcome to another episode of the Off the Ball podcast with me, your host, Chris LeBron, aka Praz of the Off the Ball Network. And on today's show, man, I got a special guest in the building today. We're gonna have a fun show today, guys. So I'm really excited to have this guy on the show. I got Pierre from the Through the Wire podcast on House of Highlights. My man, what's going on today?
Nothing much, man. Happy to be here. Always good to talk, with my fellow Knick people, my fellow Knick fam.
We gotta stay together, man.
We gotta stay together,
man.
The internet tries to bring us down and step on us anytime they can. So we gotta stay united by any means. But I'm happy to be here, bro. Appreciate you having me.
Yes. No, I appreciate you coming on. And like I said, I'm a big fan of yours, and I'm a fan of how you got started with your, with a bunch of your friends, and then started a show, and then it just took off. So before we get into all the good stuff, just talk to me a little bit about how that all came about. And then when did you realize that, we got some going on over here?
So first and foremost, it's four of us. Kenny is my cousin. So, that's my first cousin. Now, I know a lot of people be like, that's my cousin.
Yeah. No, so, I've heard before. Yeah, that's your legit cousin.
Yeah. My dad and his mom are brother and sister. So
cool.
We grew up together. So, like I said, I see him all the time outside of the podcast, just family function type things. Yeah. Obviously, the pandemic, not as much. But even during the pandemic, like my dad had like a surprise party type thing. And he was there because we like family. So, he moved and came to my area. I had moved to the suburbs, and he kind of migrated over here years later. And he ended up going into the same high school as me. And the other two guys on our podcast, Derek and Mike, they were his friends. But I knew them because they went to the same middle school. They were just a little bit younger.
Yeah.
So, having my little cousin in the same school as me, something different and weird, I would just go check up on him. And when one of the times I checked on him, he was hanging out with them. And I'm like, I know these dudes. They went to my middle school. So once they kind of formed that bond, it went through high school. I graduated a couple years before them. And then after we graduated, kind of kept in contact through him because they have like a friend group. And I would be like the older one. So I wouldn't be around as much. But every now and then I'd be in every group chat or whatnot. And we kind of had a relationship. And then his YouTube stuff started gradually turning into what now it's side of this world. It was
a juggernaut. It's a juggernaut.
So it wasn't like that, but it was starting to have a little momentum. He had a little following, and I would see him on Twitter talk basketball. And I don't care if he has 50 million subscribers. He's always going to be my little cousin that doesn't know nothing about basketball. And I would see him talk about it on a timeline. I would always chime in. And we would go back and forth, nothing major.
Yeah.
And in a group chat, I would tell him, hey, that would have been a good little podcast segment, like that little back and forth we had. And the only reason I had that mindset is because I had just got introduced to it by Joe Budden. I'm a big Joe Budden guy.
I love that.
Podcast at the time.
Dope.
And then No Jumper, Adam 22.
No Jump, Adam 22, yeah.
That was new at the time. So podcast was new. And I was like, I want to do that. So I actually got a tweet on my Twitter somewhere from years ago, about a year before we started, saying that I'm going to jump in the podcast/vlog game. And almost identically a year later, we have a tweet announcing Through the Wire. So that's always cool to look back on. But that's how it kind of happened. Little friendly Twitter arguments that went to the group chat. Mike and Derek and the rest of the friend group would get involved. And I would always throw out, that would have been good for a podcast. We flirted with the podcast idea a few times, and it didn't happen.
Yeah. That's usually how it usually goes. Yeah, I know I did the same thing. I'm like, should I do it? And then you think about it, and you're like, all right, no, not right now. Like, wait, and then wait. But then you're like, eventually, you just got to be like, all right, no, let's just do it. No hesitation.
Whenever anybody, no matter how old they are, where they're from, no matter the circumstance, whenever they ask me for advice, I always tell them my advice is just do it.
Just do it. Yep.
There's no roadmap to it. You're not going to be able to get to where you're trying to get to doing everything that I did. It's just, it's no like manual. You just got to do it. Exactly. The sooner you do it, the more you have a chance to actually get to where you're trying to go. So that's always my advice. But yeah, we flirted with the idea. Kenny and Mike were messing around doing something they wanted to do with music, something, some, 19-year-old stuff. And so when we got serious, it was like the fourth or third time he mentioning it. Kenny was like, you know what? I'll exchange this stuff that me and Mike had that we were using, and I'll get podcast equipment. So he got it. And initially it was just for me, him, and Mike. But Derek was like, I was serious. I want to do it. So then we brought Derek aboard. And my homie Tony let us use his spot that he works at to record the first episode. And the rest is history. The rest was history. I still can remember the day we were trying to figure out the name of it.
That's hard. That's hard. That's the hardest part.
Very hard. But again, I was a fan of Joe Budden, who had the show Everyday Struggle, which is
on Complex.
Complex. So I was like, let's name our show after a famous rap album. So like we were doing like the Reasonable Doubt podcast. Nah, that don't work. The Illmatic podcast. Nah, that don't work. And somebody said Through the Wire, Kanye from Chicago, it all tied together, and it made sense. And that, the rest is basically.
I think that's brilliant that you came up with that name, because that just hit. Like, I always know your show, and I'll just think Through the Wire. Yeah, and you intro over that too, like you kind of sing it a little bit with that when you.
I don't know where that came from. That was just one episode. I just did it. Don't know why I did it. And when we first signed with House of Highlights, they flew us to New York. And everybody in the office was saying it, you know what I mean? So that was like having, Omar, who created House of Highlights, walking around the office saying it was crazy. So
that's dope. That
was, everything is just organic, to say the least. Everything was natural and organic, and it came together perfectly.
Yeah, that's dope, and that's why I wanted to get you on, because I like stories like that, like to see where where everything started from. To me, that's dope, like to see, because I'm not at the level you are, but I started my podcast just talking to the computer with no structure, just like you said, procrastinating. Man, should I do a show? And like, do people gonna care and all that? And then like I just had that moment. It's like, all right, just do it, bro. And if it sucks, it sucks. Like, but at least you try. And then I kept getting better, got better equipment, and then little by little, and then like I'm at a point where like I'm on the radio, like I'm on Dash. Like they came to me. I'm like, and that's crazy.
Started, you probably never imagined that.
Nope. I just said, like, let me just do it, and if people like it, they like it. If they're not, like, whatever, it is what it is. But you got to try, and then like boom, like you have a little. Like I said, people reaching out to you, they're like, yo, I want, we want you on his platform. Like, yo, like, and I'm sure they felt the same way when House of Highlights hit you up and it's like, we want you on our platform. That must have been like, oh my God, like, really? Is this real?
Yeah, it was crazy, because I remember some of the first moments when we started, we used to have those conversations like, man, it would be crazy if we were on this with this team, or these people hit us up. And then to fast forward, not that long into our podcast career, to connect with them was again one of those things where, like you on the radio, it's just things you kind of laugh at, like you think about it, but it's like you laugh at it. It's just so crazy to even to think about. But I think I think your story, what you just said, is great too for people. Like, it's about the baby steps. Like, we were in the same position. People hit us up now and want advice and to talk, but I think now where we're at is far-fetched. You know what I mean? I think the questions would be like, our early days, because there was days where we didn't see the House of Highlights. We weren't getting paid. You know what I mean? Like, but we stuck through it with the terrible equipment. We weren't even video for a while. We were just only audio. And I used to vlog those days with my camera on my YouTube, and I'm glad I did that, because we can look back and just see the transformation. We used to come in there looking all type of ways. Nobody was really that fresh. We were young, no facial hair. But so to see the come up, and now to be able to show people, like, it ain't overnight. It ain't overnight. No. You definitely have to be willing to sacrifice. We did this for a long time for free. And when we first started making money, it was nothing. It was not really even money. Yeah. And I know a lot of people see the House of Highlights and people on the show, but it was a lot of times that we would,
I tell people that too. Like, it's like I get a lot of people who ask me for like advice, and like, yo, when you start making money? I was like, making money?
Yeah,
you may go years. Like, you may never make money. So don't go into it thinking, oh, I'm gonna do podcasting because I want to make money. Like, that's for people who like have like they're already set, like they're movie stars or NBA players, or like they already got, that, so they can make money off the jump. But if you're just a regular, regular person, like you're not gonna make money right away. So I think that's the wrong mindset to have. It's like, oh, I'm just gonna do this because I want to make money. It's like, no, you should do it because you want to do it and you enjoy it. And then the better you get at it, the more you learn. And with time, and hey, you never know, you might get picked up by someone, and then you can, make some money. So I always think people go in there for the wrong reasons, and then
they do. I think it's kind of messing up the game because everybody podcasting is the new thing. Every few years we have that thing where it's like, or I'll say maybe it's even every decade where people think it's like a get rich quick scheme.
Yes, I agree.
I know you probably know a lot of people that was like, I'll just start rapping because they just think rapping is just easy. Or it's like, I'll just start a clothing line, or I'll just start a YouTube.
Yeah, because SoundCloud, you put on SoundCloud and then boom.
Rap, clothing, YouTube. Now it's podcasting. So everybody has a podcast. Everybody wants a podcast. And it ruins it for the people who are willing to come in it, be humble, sacrifice, and not worry about money. Because like you said, a lot of people are coming in trying to find ways to get money or how they can get paid instantly, when it's like, if your main thing is to get money or to make money, you shouldn't do podcasting because like you said, you may never get paid. But the beauty of it is if you love it or you're just having fun and you're coming in without that expectation, it's beautiful because then when you finally do get paid, it's like a cherry on top. Exactly. You know what I mean? Like when we did it, we all had jobs. Everybody was doing different things. We were just doing it out of love. We just love to talk basketball. And I think that's why we actually kind of got so far where we at now, because it was just a genuine love,
passion. It's that passion. If you have the passion to do it, and I for the last year or so doing the podcast, like I just had a passion for it. I did one show and it's like, all right, okay, you get a little bit of listeners in, and boom, then it starts going. You're like, all right, now I got to invest time, and I'm putting in hours, days, every day working on something, and then trying to figure out, all right, what's the Today Show going to be? All right. I did a bunch of draft stuff. Like I did a whole bunch of draft stuff. I just worked on the draft. Like, all right, I'm going to get every draft analyst possible on the show. And I did it. I got every draft dude together. Like, all the top draft content creators put them together and just did that. I was like, all right, let me make this my thing. And then just, doing that and just putting the time in. And then, it kind of paid off. Like I said, I got people from Dash Radio hit me up. Hey, we want you on our platform. It's like, whoa, like I'm still working, like doing regular job, but at work, I'm on my laptop, doing stuff, emails, editing and all that. So like you said, you put the time in, and without that mindset, like, oh, money, you just work, and then they said it'll come,
Yeah, that's a fact though. Yeah, you gotta put that time in. It's like anything else in life.
Exactly.
You put the time in with your head down, and you're not worrying about anything else, it's gonna happen. Hard work never
pays off. Yep. Hard work definitely pays off. So I appreciate you, talking about that story, because I think it's important for a lot of people to understand that. But let's get into it, man. Let's talk about our beloved New York Knicks, man. That's what the people wanted to are listening, and they probably get tired of me talking about them. So, because I talk about it realistically, but that's our team, and I'm a ride or die. So let's talk about them. This year was obviously different. COVID changed things, and it seemed like when the Knicks were finally getting a little groove on last season, everything got shut down. RJ was hooping a little bit, even Frank was hooping. So team looked better. So, how was the off season for you? Did you like the draft? That they had? Did you like the moves, the lack of moves? I think for the first time, in my opinion, the lack of moves is probably the best thing that they did, because previous Knicks, front office would have made a bunch of irrational moves and signed guys 4 years, $120 million, Gordon Hayward. They would have done that years, last year they would have done that, So how you feel about, just last year regime would have done that, they would have signed Gordon like that. So, how you feeling? How'd you feel about the Knicks off season, and how how you feel about this team going into this year?
I love the off season, to be honest with you. We went in and we got an established, respected head coach, which first and foremost, that was the most important thing for me. And then we also got a coaching staff that is respected. The front office, Leon Rose, World Wide West, that whole rebrand that we did, I think was important and something I was waiting on for a very long time. especially after the last past off season with the Kevin Durant, Kyrie thing. I think to not get those guys when it was rumored we had the highest chance, or it was most likely that we get it. It was a real reality check. You know what I mean? To really have to look at ourselves in the mirror as a franchise and say what's wrong about us. And so I felt like we did that. We stripped that down top to bottom. And to get the guys that we got, everybody's first description you would say about everybody that we brought in is well respected. And I think that's where it starts.
That was the number one thing was like everyone talked highly about every single guy we brought in.
Everybody. And that, as a Knicks fan, that feels good because that's what our franchise needs to be. Like, we don't need to worry about being champions. We don't need to worry about winning our conference or division. We just need to be respected. And, you know, we answered that. So Thibodeau, even bringing in a guy like Mike Woodson, who was the last guy that we saw success with, was real refreshing as a Knicks fan to see that. Bringing in a guy like Johnny Bryant from Utah, when you talk about development and you see Donovan Mitchell in that situation, you know, perfect. Walt Perrin, you know what I mean, bringing him in, that everything is just excellent. I have nothing bad to say about that. Then when you talk about the draft, I think we nailed it for where we were at. I mean, to get Obi Toppin at 8 is just magnificent. Whenever you can get a talent like that at 8, you know, in a weak draft, I'll take that.
I thought that was so silly when people said this was a draft. Like,
so crazy.
Nah, it definitely wasn't. It may have not been sexy at the top. Yeah, like there was no Zion or guys like that, but it wasn't weak at all.
I don't think it was weak at all either. And then to get Emmanuel quickly, who was a guy that I was eyeing for us before the draft even happened, just because I like his energy. I know we got Kenny Payne from Kentucky, so just that. We got to start looking at Kentucky prospects every year in the draft.
They're playing the game. I like the game they play, you know.
So, who else did we get? We got Miles Powell.
That was
a Hall. Played right across the
fact that he didn't get drafted is. I know she's small and he could be inefficient, but that dude could score.
He's worth the risk. Yeah. And I'm glad we took the risk. So I feel like that was a good draft, man. It was a real good draft for us. Real simple and real good players. You know what I mean? I think Emmanuel quickly, his ceiling is going to be a guy that can be in a rotation. He's going to be able to guard and shoot threes, and that's about what every team is looking for. Obi Toppin, he has his flaws, but nobody at 8 wasn't going to have flaws. And, you know, but my thing after that free agency was just like you. The lack of moves kind of made me happy because as a Knicks fan,
for the first time, right?
First
time ever we felt that. Because this time last year, if we had done what we did now, we were like, what are we doing? Like,
right?
Crazy how one off season changes the whole mindset. Like you said, that refresh. Like, all right, whatever we've been trying to do for the last whatever years clearly isn't working. So we got to change up. You know, as a franchise, they got to change up.
Exactly. And that's where, like, it was so strange seeing Knicks fans not understand that. Because a lot of people was kind of upset that we weren't making moves, but it's like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And our shit has been broken, so let's stop.
Broken's not the word. Shattered.
We always try to take the shortcut route, and it's never worked. It's always backfired on us. So for the first time, seeing us stay away from that made me happy. You know, small deals to fill out the roster. We had to spend some of our money, so I understand that. But all of the 3-4 year deals, we stayed away from it. And then we got guys that I think can hoop and can play basketball and can benefit from playing on the team, like the Knicks. When you think about Alec Burks, Austin Rivers, I think those guys can benefit from having the opportunity to play on our stage. And kind of like similar to Mook, when a trade deadline comes, there'll be contending teams.
I think that's exactly why
lining up to try to get one of those guys. So, you know, Alec Burks got us picks just by getting him. So no, that was
Ed Davis. Shout out to Ed Davis, the best. You know, his tenure with the Knicks got us 3 second-round picks. So shout out to
So legend. Ed Davis can get us that.
Exactly.
I can only imagine in the heat of a season where everybody's trying to win a championship with Austin Rivers and Alec Burks can get us.
Especially Alex Burke and Austin Rivers. Those are vets. Like Alex Burke could be a key piece off the bench for a team. So, you know,
for real.
Two guys. Yeah.
And then Austin Rivers, you know, with his contract for it to not be guaranteed first year, I think him and his team had to go into that knowing what they were doing so that he can be appealing to a team at the trade deadline, because he's going to come here. He's going to get his opportunity. He's going to probably hoop and have some big nights with us because he's just that type of player. And I think that's going to help him if he hits the market again, or if we trade him, he's going to have some appeal. So I'm happy with that. Even Nerlens Noel, I think he plays the same exact way as Mitch Robinson. So our young guards and our young core, whoever's in the game, you're going to play the same type of basketball, same type of style. There's no, no sense of bringing in a stretch five and having him run if Mitch not going to play like that. So, yeah, I mean, after a review, I would say as a Knicks fan, not as an analyst, but just as a Knicks fan grading my team, I think we did an A+, not because we got the biggest names or the best players, but because we stayed in our lane. You know what I mean? That's important, to stay in our lane and not try to keep up with what Brooklyn's doing, because we're never going to match the star power of KD.
We can't worry about what Brooklyn's doing. And that's with fans too, because I'm sure you see it a lot. Everyone's worried about what Kyrie's saying or K. To me, I'm like, who cares? Like, we can't worry, but that's what gets this team in trouble, and the fans, like, who cares what Brooklyn's doing?
The one thing I will say is that if those guys came to the Knicks and a lot of shit that has happened with them, we'd be laughing stock.
Yeah. We'd get crucified right now.
Yeah.
The Kyrie stuff with what he's doing now with the media blackout, the Knicks. So, like, and listen, I wanted both of them. I don't know how you felt, but I wanted both of them, obviously, because that's game changing, right? If you put yourself an opportunity, but it's like, all right. I'll say we didn't get them, and I'm hurt that we didn't get them. Like I was hurt, like upset on my couch, end of my couch. But it's like, imagine dealing with last year, right? No KD, and then Kyrie doing all his stuff, and then not playing really. We would have got clowned for that, right? Oh, they signed two guys who didn't play like 25 games total, and then Kyrie doing his stuff this year, it's like, oh my God, we would have got crucified. So, like, a part of me is like, when they get like they're into James Harden and all, it's like, all right, if you go after it, do that. But this could be a situation where, as a Knicks fan, you sit back and you're like, oh, we could watch this thing burn down. So it's like, I'm not, if they do go after Harden, I'm like, all right, that's cool. Y'all got a nice team, but that thing could literally burn to the ground.
Yeah.
Like, so
they definitely have the potential to do some special things.
Yeah.
But if they don't, I will be like, whew, we dodged one, because man, if they do now, with them being in Brooklyn, it may not be championship or bust, but if they play for the Knicks, it'll be championship or bust. Yeah. Everything that's going on or could go wrong there, it would be getting clowned or super looked into. They would have, had to write whole paragraphs about us hiring Steve Nash. So,
that's another thing too. If we had hired Steve Nash, we would have got crucified. Like,
so I'm like you. I want it now. Sucks that we didn't, but at the same time, I look and I see certain things. I'd be like, you know what? It was maybe best that we didn't, because they would have tried to shit on us for real for that.
I think it's a blessing in disguise. I think
perfect way to put it.
I think the best thing to happen to us, if everything goes the way we think we could go and the way Leon's running it, it could be a blessing in disguise, where we kind of needed that, like, to be that big. Like, you guys can't, the NBA gods are telling us, okay, you can't just say you're the New York Knicks and we play in New York and boom, that's it. Like, you gotta be able to build, right? You gotta build. Like, even Brooklyn did it, and now they didn't have no picks, and they got Karis LeVert, and they got Jared Allen and Spencer Dinwiddie from Detroit, and Joe Harris from Cleveland. Like, and they built, and they took a chance on D'Angelo Russell, coming off his thing in LA, and made him an all-star. So, like, if we can take a little bit of what they did, then we could go to the table next year or whatever and be like, hey, whoever, such and such, hey, look at the team we have. And then you can cap it off with, we play in New York City. Look what we could do for you. We can, the extra money you can make on top of it. To me, that should be the last thing, not the first thing you pitch, right? Because I think that's the problem with the Knicks and how they approach things. Like, New York City, Madison Square Garden, 34th Street, 7th Avenue. Oh yeah, we're not really good, but don't forget about that part. That we won 12 games. Like, it's like, no, we gotta. So, oh hey, look at. We got RJ. RJ's improved. Mitch has improved. Everyone's improved. And then you add, you add the cherry on top with.
I love what you said. They set a blueprint for us. Like, as much as people, I don't live in New York, so I don't really have a problem with the Nets. The whole Brooklyn, New York,
I do. I can't stand it.
Yeah. So
it's painful.
I understand it.
I have a bunch of like really close Nets fans. So the day Kyrie and KD signed, I remember at the end of my couch, and I'm like, oh, it's going to happen. They're going to go to Brooklyn. And my friend lives across the street. and he starts texting me. He's like, "No, what's going on?" Huh? He's just like laughing emojis, and then boom, you get the Woj. Like I'm waiting for the Woj tweet, like everyone else, and then boom, it happens, and I'm like, he rings my doorbell literally like that, and he's just smiling. I'm like, oh, I hate you guys. But it's like, I can't be mad. You got him. Like, I can't be mad. But, we can't focus on what they're doing. We got to stay the course, right? And I think that's what I like about Leon. He's not. We didn't hear anything really either this offseason. We didn't hear a single thing. He kept everything, and like you said, previous regimes, everything would have been out. We're interested in this guy.
But now and I cut some Knicks fans some slack because I know they're not used to that. They're not used to patience. They're not used to brick by brick building. So this is going to be new to see us not sign Gordon Hayward to a max contract, to see us not, like I know we wanted Fred, but we didn't break our necks to get Fred how people thought we would have. You know what I mean? So that's different. Oh, like you said, just 365 days ago, we would have probably threw the kitchen sink at Fred. He would have probably had a whole presentation. You can get your jersey in a rafter.
We would have signed him and Hayward. They would have signed both of them. And
these
it's like,
oh my God, guys that are like that. We were doing things for guys that aren't even like that. And it's like, now the reality for me is to just build brick by brick.
You got to do it the old-fashioned way, right? You see how OKC did it, and you see how Golden State did it. Every team did it.
That's how they did it. Like, even the Lakers. I mean, they got LeBron, Anthony Davis, but you don't get Anthony Davis without building Ingram, Lonzo, drafting and building. You look at Toronto. Yeah, they got Kawhi, but the surrounding pieces, but Pascal Siakam and guys like that, Norman Powell, Fred VanVleet, they played big roles, and those are guys that they drafted, developed, and they built brick by brick.
Golden State,
brick by brick,
and then boom, they got enough money. Hey, let's go get KD. Boom.
Miami's last run, Bam, Hero, Duncan, those are their guys. Yeah, they were able to sign a Jimmy, but they don't go as far without those other guys that they drafted and built. So I agree. Let's chase free agents when we do have the chance to get them. But the surrounding pieces to take us where we want to go with that free agent or to have a real chance to get him is going to be what we do with our building brick by brick. So I'm all in, and I love what we have so far. I'm just anxious to see how it progresses over the season.
How do you like them looking so far in preseason? I know it's 2 games and it's only against one team, but how you like the way they look? And I know RJ has looked, to me, he's the most impressive so far, in my opinion.
So first and foremost, I understand there's COVID going on, but I hate the fact that we just played the same team twice.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah.
But I like what I've seen. I like some things I've seen from RJ.
Yeah.
I dislike some things I've also seen from RJ. But it's not his fault. I just think that
the spacing is no spacing at all for him. Like, that's the one thing that he needs spacing to allow to get. I think if we had shooters, he would be.
Yeah, he would have had a much better rookie year, and his projections for this year would be just as good as some of the other people in his draft class. But it's so hard for me to speak on RJ because I'm heavy on the criticism. But again, like I said, partially it's not his fault because he's out there with Randall, Mitch, and Elfrid Payton, which is not ideal for a guy whose strength is to try to get downhill and attack. Exactly. And so that's tough. But the point guard position, man, is disgusting. It's disgusting.
I think that's being nice, bro. I think you're being nice with that.
I think it's the only thing. It's like
and that's the one thing. Listen, I loved Obi Toppin, and I think it's a great pick, but I really wanted Killian Hayes, and I thought he was going to get to us because I think if we can get Killian, I mean, a point guard to me was the number one thing we needed. And especially when you have RJ and company, like we need to run with Mitch and all that. We need to move up. If we can't,
I'll tell you this.
Okay.
I'll tell you this. If we play this season right, we will get a point guard. Cade Cunningham, Jalen Suggs, all of those names.
You in the Faith for Cade campaign?
Yes.
Faith for Cade?
Yeah, if we play it right. Now, my worry and my concern is that Thibodeau is a old school coach.
That's my thing. I don't think he's going to.
Always been used to winning.
Mm-hmm.
And he has to accept the fact that this team isn't ready to do that, but that's okay.
Do you think he knows that in the back of his head? Like, I know, like you say, he wants to win. All old coaches want to win, right? They could lose their job in a year. Tibbs cannot be here in a year for all we know. But do you think in the back of his mind he's thinking, oh, this ain't it? I need a point guard. You can't do stuff without a point guard. So in the back of his mind, thinking like, man,
I think he is thinking that.
He's got to be thinking that, in my opinion. I know, like you said, he wants to win, but you need a point guard, bro.
What I love is that we don't have a way to get one.
Yeah.
Right? Like, nobody on our team, they would never trade RJ. Not this soon.
No.
I wouldn't put it past him to trade Mitch, but
I agree.
To trade Mitch for. So we dodged all guards are moved. Russell, John, they've been traded. Chris Paul went to his team. The market for guards is done. We will not get a guard.
It's done with. Yeah.
So we dodged the bullet with that. Luckily, because if it was still a guard available, we would have to probably. The Mike Conley thing is still out there. I know Julius Randle, whatever. I wouldn't be mad at that because
I wouldn't be mad at that because I think in order for Obi to get to that level, because he has to play the 4. He is not a 3. I heard people say, "Yo, play Randall, Mitch, RJ." Oh, I'm like. You want to give up 150 points a game?
I'm glad we're on the greens. I don't see 3 at all.
He's not a 3. He does not move. And that was the one thing where Obi was like, he's a freak athlete, right? And for a freak athlete, he kind of moves super stiff. So, and that was the one thing. What was the one thing everyone talked about Obi in all the draft process? Offense is good and all that, but the defense. So I'm like, he's not a 3, guys. What do you got? I'm hearing people like Knicks fans like, oh, play him at the 3. It's like, you're going to get him. You want him against LeBron James and Kevin Durant and Kawhi Leonard. He would get eaten apart, especially with Randall. And like, no. And Mitch fouls everyone. So who was the deal? Like, no, that's not good. So to me, in order for Obi to take that, we got to somehow they got to try to find a shop him.
Yeah. And it's tough because Julius Randle was a solid player.
He's a really good player.
But it's like he's also not as good to where a lot of people are in the market for him. So it's kind of weird.
He's in that weird.
Yeah. So I know the Knicks aren't going to want to just give him away. And then whatever team that does have interest, they're probably not going to try to give up too much. So it would kind of be like
first round picks and all that. Like,
yeah, we'd have to try to eat a contract like Conley or something like that. But yeah, Thibs. In the back of his mind, I'm sure he's thinking that, but I don't think it's a lot of moves he can make to change the trajectory of his team. So I think he just has to spend this year worried about developing guys, teaching them better habits, and investing time in guys that'll be here next year.
Yeah,
because he's going to want to win. He's not going to be happy with the losing, but we're not going to gain playing Elfrid Payton 32 minutes a game.
No. And listen, I think Elfrid Payton's. He is the best point guard on this team, but that's because the roster Dennis Smith is just, he's not there. He's not that answer. Frank's to me he's a 2, but he's a rotational guard, come off the bench.
Secondary ball
handler. Quickly's not there. He didn't play a lot of point because they have Maxey and
I'm not classifying him as a point guard.
He's not a point. I heard people play him at the point and Frank at the 2. I was like, no, not at all. Like, guys, come on.
If anything, I would just let Frank be my PG if I'm playing.
Yeah, if anything, you would flip it and have Frank, because he has more experience handling the ball, even though he's not a lead guard either. So
Frank is so unique.
Yeah.
I feel like we trade him, which we probably will eventually or something. He's going to go somewhere else and flourish because he can do so many different things. We just don't have talent on his team. So
he fits a lot of teams that could use him as defensive guy off the bench. Like,
I think he can go to the Mavs and thrive. Like
Mavs, that's actually a good team he could fit with alongside Luka. He could just do the dirty work for Luka, and while Luka just eats on offense,
Throw him in a corner while Luka and Porzingis go to work in a pick and roll, and then just let him guard whoever you don't want Luka to guard.
Exactly.
Thriving just like that. But with us, we drafted him high. It's New York. They can't. When did we draft him? 7 or 8? It was like 7 or 8.
Yeah. 8th pick.
8. Knicks fans just don't, and Knicks front office, they just don't want to put an 8th overall pick just in the corner and just let him be that for whatever reason. It happens. Yeah. Harrison Barnes was like a 9th overall pick, and we saw what he did with the Warriors. They just put his ass in the corner. It happens sometimes. Deal with it. But that's my thing with RJ. I don't give RJ too much praise
Yeah.
Because I know the Knicks are going to make sure they do everything in their power to make him look somewhat good.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So it's like I want to see things that don't pop up on a box score, because he's always going to get box score opportunities. He has to.
Yeah.
He's a third overall pick. They're going to do everything to make sure and make them look bad. So he's going to get, so I want to see things like, just composure. I want to see better shot attempts. You know what I mean? Don't just do shit because you can.
Yeah, exactly.
Gradual improvements. I want to see some playmaking, because I think RJ Barrett, when we do get shooters, he's the type of guy when you can put the ball in his hands and let him drive, kick, and facilitate.
He did it at Duke. I think that's what people liked about when he did it at Duke, especially when Zion got hurt. Cam was feeding off him a lot, and then he was doing work with that when Zion was out. So I see the playmaking eventually, but who is he playmaking to? Who is he the ball to? He has no one that he can count on other than himself, and that's unfortunate.
Yeah, it's just himself, or lob it to one of those guys, and nobody's really gonna overly commit to RJ. To give lob opportunities, because the other people are collapsing because they don't have to guard the perimeter. So
exactly.
I like the direction though.
I do. I agree.
This draft that's coming up, we have to hit it, man. We have to get. That's why it's a gift and a curse. We got Thibs. It just depends on how he plays it, because we cannot afford to be. I don't want to say we can't afford, but I want to be in that top 3. I don't want to be a 7 or 8 again. I want to be in that top 3.
We have to be top 3.
If we get top 3, this whole thing.
Even if we don't get 1, because it probably won't happen, because that's just how the lottery works for us.
Yeah, it's tough to.
And we got to get 2 or 3. We got to be able to come out with like Suggs or Kuminga or someone Zaire or Jalen Green. We got to come out with someone, one of those guys.
All these names you're naming, if we get one on paper. RJ, one of those guys you just named, Obi and Mitch. Oh, it sounds beautiful. And then you don't even let me play with the idea of us getting number 1. You talking Cade, RJ. You can find a 3-and-D wing. Shit, put Frank there for all I care. Toppin and Mitch. Oh man.
Maybe this is the year they bless us. Maybe this is the year they bless us finally. They're like, all right, we let you guys, you went through the offseason 2 years ago. We gave you the 8th pick this year. Dolan has shut up. You guys are doing the right thing. All right, we got you guys.
For the NBA, it's y'all best interest that we get Cade Cunningham. The most talked about prospect since. Zion was pretty much started. It's hard to say, because Zion was probably the most talked about prospect since like Anthony Davis. But Cade Cunningham gets just as much love.
We've heard about him for years, Cade.
Yeah,
it's been like he's he's a Zion where you hear about him. He's got a following since he was a sophomore. So it's that level.
In this stacked class, they're calling him the number 1, legit number 1.
Oh, and it's clear cut. Jalen Suggs can drop 40 a game, and Jalen Green could do his thing in the G League. Kuminga could do that. Zaire, whoever, and it's like, no, Cade can go 8 of 22, and
Cade kind of
suck.
I like him because I think he can go anywhere.
Yeah,
I like he can definitely be a point guard, but if you already have a point guard, he can also be like a secondary ball handler. You can put him at 3 like a Grant Hill. Like dude's the real deal, man. I like that kid a lot. But I'll also tell you this, like you said, it's hard to wish and hope for the number 1 pick.
I know.
If we walked out with Jalen Suggs, I would be happy too, man.
Just get in that top 3. Just get in that top 3.
I love that.
Top 3. We can't get K. We got to get one of the Jalen's. Get one of the Jalen's, all right? There's a bunch of them.
Sure. And if we get Jalen Green, RJ better count his days, because Jalen Green he's coming to score.
Oh yeah,
he's coming to score.
He's coming to score. That's his MO is scored. So it's gonna be interesting times with the Knicks. We'll see how the season goes. All right, let's finish off with a few more time. All right, let's get into some league talk. Who are your 4 league pass teams that you're tuned in, that you can be tuned into this year?
Okay, my 4 league pass teams. That's funny. I just got my email from HOH2 with my league pass info. So the Hornets will be up there.
Melo alone, and Bridges too. You saw that dunk by Bridges, man.
I was like, yeah, that was nasty. Melo reaction was like, damn, this is the guy I'm gonna be able to pass to. I just think they have a nice young team. Add LaMelo as a cherry on top, but I think they can get up and down. They can run. PJ Washington is
PJ
the
Washington.
modern four. Miles Bridges, as you named, he's always had his exciting moments. Rozier will come off the bench, I believe.
Devontae Graham, yeah, they got it.
But Graham is a microwave. And then Gordon Hayward. Gordon Hayward, I like GH. He looks comfortable there. The expectations won't be like Boston.
Mm-hmm.
He'll be able to just thrive.
He can just play his game there, yeah.
Play the game. And then also, Malik Monk has been disappointing.
Yeah.
But he's a guy that I'm still always going to watch and be like, is he going to get it together this year? So they got some interesting things going on over there. Will they win a lot of games? The possibility is there because it's the East, but I wouldn't count on it. But just for excitement and, something fun to watch, they are one of my teams. You said 4, right?
Yeah. You can not have to give me 4. You can give me a couple that you like.
Hornets. I think the Suns have to be on there. I'm a little biased. I have a cousin that plays for the Suns, Javon Carter.
Oh, he played good in the bubble too.
But then the bubble 8-0. You add Chris Paul to Devin Booker and Aiden and what they got going.
It's crazy that 8-0 run changed everything. Like, cause before that, the Suns were like, oh man, is Book gonna be gone? Is Monty Williams gonna last? Like, it's Ayton, they took him over Luka. That's all, and then boom, 8-0, and Ayton he's shooting threes, and Devin's taking it to another level, and then boom, gives him Chris Paul. So now, like I said, that whole 8-0 changed everything.
A lot of people have Aiden as their most improved because they added Chris Paul.
Yeah, Chris.
His game goes up automatically because of Chris Paul walks through the door. Yeah. You know what I mean? So
pick and roll, where you could do pick and pops, or you pick,
out of this world.
Exactly.
Out of this world. And I love their thought process of loading up on wings. Cam Johnson, Mikal Bridges. They went and signed Jay Crowder. They drafted Jalen Smith out of Maryland with the 10th pick. A lot of people were surprised about that. I love that pick for them. They got Dario Saric, who I think has always been like a nice underrated player. So I like that little movement they got going on over there. And then who else would I say? I'm trying to think of unique teams, not the usual. Lakers wouldn't even count because they come on TV.
Yeah, that don't count.
I'm gonna probably go with Philly.
Philly, okay.
Philly. I think this is a big year for them.
This is a crucial year for
them. They brought in Doc Rivers. It's the first respected head coach that Ben and Joel played with, and this also is the best roster they've ever had around them. Besides that small window when they had Jimmy.
2 years ago, roster could have won a championship, I believe. It was just a bounce of the ball where it changed everything. Then the next year, they made a bunch of like crazy moves there.
A couple months that they played together because it was like they made deadline trades, or right before the deadline, they got a bunch of guys and they played a few months and then boom. I'm like you. I think that was a championship team. If they brought that team back and let them play for a full year, I think that's
ran it back. They should have ran it back.
But they didn't, and I think this roster is almost up to that because they got the shooting. You bring in Danny Green, Seth Curry. I know Danny Green didn't hit shit in the bubble, but his career tells me I have to respect him. And then, like I said, you bring in Doc Rivers. I like their draft. They got Tyrese Maxey at 21. They brought in Isaiah Joe from Arkansas, who I think can shoot the ball.
He could shoot it.
Yeah, and then
he likes to shoot it too. He'll shoot it. Whenever he gets the ball, he's launching it. Isaiah Joe.
Oh yeah, I got a lot of faith in him to be able to crack their rotation at some point. But and then Matisse Thybulle too. So I like that team. There was one more. Who do I want to say? I wish I had the teams in front of me. I kind of want to say Washington.
Washington's gonna be fun.
I think they have a chance to be fun. Add in Russell Westbrook. You see Bradley. Oh, the Grizzlies. The Grizzlies are gonna be one. I think John Moran is must see TV.
Oh, yeah, he's box office.
Must see TV, man.
He's box office.
I think John Moran is like the new Derrick Rose from when we had D Rose, the young D Rose. He might not win a Rookie of the Year like D Rose, but excitement, making his team better from day one. He's going to do all that.
They got good pieces around him too.
Great pieces.
Jaren Jackson, Clark, they got some dudes.
The fact that Brandon Clark failed at them, bro.
Yeah. They got to score.
I think those four.
Yeah.
And maybe, because I'm looking at the teams now, maybe the Pelicans. Depends on how they play. They confuse me with their offseason, but Lonzo, Zion, Ingram is always going to make me intrigued. I just have to see what Stan Van Gundy is going to do with that.
Yeah, yeah, and then they drafted the dude from Alabama,
Kara Lewis.
So that's why I'm like, are they full all in on Lonzo?
I don't
Like,
think so.
and maybe the Knicks, with Lonzo, they I brought that up a few times.
Not only did they draft him, but they also brought in Eric Bledsoe, who's a
starter. So they got a logjam there.
So yeah, that's a perfect type of player for the Knicks to come in and swipe up.
Yeah, for sure. I've been saying that for a minute.
I would love it. But yeah, those would be some of my league pass teams for sure.
Okay, yeah, those are definitely a lot of intriguing league pass teams for sure. I like Atlanta too. Atlanta's gonna be fun.
Yeah. Atlanta's gonna be real fun. I'm watching them though because they might have brought in. It might sound crazy, but they might have brought in too much. I like some of their young guys.
They could have something up their sleeve where they could possibly get a big name. So that's what I was thinking. Maybe they overloaded just because they got something in the back of the that's going on, something cooking in the lab.
It's probably like last week, I forget which episode, but nobody talks about Atlanta for a James Harden place, and I know they may not be for it because it's a fit. Trae Young would have to approve because Harden comes in and changes the entire dynamic. They don't like the fit. But they're one of the few teams where I like the pieces they could give up to Houston to get a James.
And they would still have enough pieces to still have a good, a roster. But they could give up a lot, but then they still have a lot because they drafted good.
Because John Collins, the rumors he
would be gone. Yeah.
So you give up John Collins, Herter, and like Cam Reddish, you still have Bogey, Trae, Capella, Gallinari steps in to be the power forward.
They just drafted Onyeka. So they got the replacement for Collins right there.
So
got a nice. That's what I'm saying. I think they got something cooking in the lab. That's why I'm like. It was crazy. Like they made so many moves. I'm like, there's got to be something more to it. Like
I hope so because I'm a fan of some of those young guys they got, and I don't think they're gonna be able to get that opportunity to play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. So it's gonna be interesting. All right, give me your all highlight starting five.
All highlight starting five. Well, point guard, I guess we can put Ja Morant there. Yeah. I'll put Ja Morant as my point guard. All highlight. That's a good one. I like this one. Who do I want to put? I'm trying to think now. Center. Who do I want at center for my all highlight? So I got Ja. Who is a guy that I'm thinking of? Let me look at these teams. I want to get somebody in. I don't want to get the typical answers. I got to dive deep and make sure I'm getting the right.
Ja's definitely. I would put him at my point too as my highlight point. Yeah, because he's a highlight reel. Like you say, he's D Rose. Like he has a lot of D Rose in him. Like it's crazy how explosive. Hopefully, he stays healthy. We don't want to see that. We don't want to know. That's still the saddest thing.
That's so. And like I said, I'm from Chicago, so that.
So that hits close because I'm sure that's devastating.
So yeah, give me Ja at the point guard position. Mm-hmm. At the 2, At the 2.
I know this is a tougher one than I thought. Even when I was doing, I'm like, man, this is tougher than you would think.
Zach LaVine is my 2.
Zach, yep.
Zach LaVine is my 2. My small forward, because the small forward position is so locked and loaded in the NBA right now.
It's stacked.
Who is somebody? Do I want to go that route? All highlights. I'm trying to think of highlights. You know what? Yeah, give me Brandon Ingram as my 3. Give me Brandon Ingram as my 3.
Yeah, B.I. he's coming up too. Like the last year, I don't think that was a fluke. I think he's on the come up.
Yeah, anybody that's saying it's a fluke.
Nah, that wasn't a fluke.
Don't say that.
We all saw it too in LA. Like it was just a matter of like he was playing with LeBron. We all know like you're not gonna. He needed to be able to go to New Orleans to flourish, and bam, we saw it.
So yeah, we got Ja, Zach, Ingram. My power forward. I'm trying to think of guys who are high flying, gonna tear the rim down, but can also knock down a jump shot. I like skilled basketball players.
Yes.
Everybody we named thus far is skilled. And at the 4 position, give me I want to say Jason Tatum.
Tatum. He's
Put him
another.
at the small ball forward, but I'm gonna go John Collins actually.
John Collins. He's skilled. He's super skilled too. Yeah.
One of my favorite power forwards. So underrated.
Oh yeah.
And then last but not least, the center position.
Mm-hmm.
The center position. I'm trying to think of an underrated center. I don't want to go and be Jokic or Cat. I want to say, I might pick a guy who's not a center, but could log in some minutes at center.
That's okay.
Christian Wood.
Christian Wood's gonna ball out in Houston this year.
I hope so, bro.
He's gonna eat.
James Harden kind of ruining their momentum with all that. But I hope he does ball out.
Mm-hmm.
I wish I was more prepared to name some more under the radar guys. I think it's a lot of under the radar guys. Like
there's so much talent in the league, bro. There's so much talent. Like we can do this forever. Like
a guy like Miles Bridges we talked about earlier, he can easily make somebody's list.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I'm just highlight real type guy.
Yeah.
Give me Christian Wood as my 5. I think he's going to get a lot of live action.
He's going to eat this year, man. He's definitely going to eat for sure.
I like him a lot.
Yeah, for sure. All right, last topic. Quick one. Give me a pretender, a contender, and then the sleeper team this year.
Okay. So pretender, Boston Celtics.
Ooh, okay.
I don't think the Boston Celtics are real.
Okay.
Nothing against them. Celtic fans think I hate them. I just think when I look at the landscape of the East, they're just in the middle. I don't think they're bad, but I don't think they're elite either. I think they're here. And realistically, I don't think they're going to the finals or have really a chance. I mean, everybody has a chance, but I don't think they're a real finals type of team. I would put I'm putting Brooklyn over them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm putting Giannis and them over them just because of Drew Holiday. I'm probably putting Philly over them.
Okay.
And I think they still kind of neck and neck with Toronto.
I agree. Yeah.
I don't think Toronto is real either, but I think they could give each other some go. Like they can compete with each other. So yeah, I don't see I don't see any way Boston comes out of the East.
Boston fans, I'm definitely not gonna like you when they listen to this. And Kemba's injured, the Kemba knee injury, that's big. Kemba's knee injury.
I know a lot of Celtic fans who are kind of like, man, we maybe shouldn't have done that one.
Yeah, that's tough now with that injury, and he's he's in his 30s now, and he didn't look good in the bubble.
Think about that. Kemba is in his 30s now. Yeah, man.
I felt like it was just yesterday. He was in the Big East tournament, cooking up Pittsburgh in the Big East tournament.
Contender. Contender. It's so tough to say because out west, all I think about is the Lakers. If I'm being honest with you,
I agree. I think it's the Lakers, and then everyone else is bunched up into that 2 to 8 rank. I wouldn't be surprised if
it's tough for me to give the Clippers any real love just because of that point guard position. I'm big on a point guard position. They didn't upgrade it. They didn't even really change.
That's what hurt them last year, I think.
Yes.
I think not having a point guard, because Pat Bev is he really a point guard, or he's just like a pest? Like he's more of like a irritant. Like, you need that on your team, but he's not someone that could initiate the offense for you.
Right.
At that type
Even if you did play him, you kind of have him offensively playing off of a Kawhi, Paul George. When he was with Houston, Harden was kind of the point guard, and he played off of him. So he's not really a point guard.
No, I don't.
In a technical way.
Nah, definitely.
So. Who's a contender, man? Because the East is fraudulent too, man.
Yeah.
I can't put too much stock into Greek Freak.
Yeah.
Brooklyn is new. I never can put that much stock into a newly built team, like a new coaching staff, new players, new system.
Never been a head coach in Steve
Never
Nash.
been. It's tough to put stock into that.
I think there's one contender, and like you said, it's the team in LA. It's the Lakers. I think it's just that's the only team I feel confident. Like, all right. That's the only team I feel good about getting to the finals. Everyone else is like, I don't even know. Like, it's up in the air.
About anybody, make sure. Oh, I'll tell you. The Portland Trailblazers.
Oh, you in on Portland?
Portland Trailblazers. I still favor the Lakers, but to answer your question, I think
coming back healthy.
Yeah, I like what they're doing on paper. This is all on paper. I still, like I said, I still favor the Lakers, but I think when I look at the landscape, I like Portland's chances to push the Lakers a little bit if they play, because they have a go-to guy. They have a Robin to his Batman and CJ. They have size with Nurkic, Cantor, and Zach Collins. They have versatility with Rodney Hood, Derrick Jones Jr., Carmelo Anthony, Zach Collins. They could play a lot of different ways. So I like that team a lot, man. I like that team a lot. And I feel like I just named their whole team, but I feel like I forgot somebody that also is important for them. So they got Dame.
Gary Trent Jr. played good. Covington, yeah, they added Covington. Yeah, that was big.
So
that was a big pickup.
Gary Trent. So I like, they can play a lot of different ways. They can play Covington at 3. They can play them smaller at 4. If you play against the Lakers and they want to go big, you can do Nurkic and Zach Collins. So I think that's what really made me favor the Lakers all last season, is because they could play so many different brands of basketball.
Different styles of basketball, yep.
And I think Portland can do the same. So I'll use Portland for that one. And then sleeper, I guess Portland maybe would have been a sleeper too, but the Dallas Mavericks. I picked last year on my podcast. I picked when the playoffs started. I picked them to beat the Clippers, and I'm a firm believer that they would have beat the Clippers if Kristaps was hurt.
To me, that's the thing, is Kristaps. He's healthy. To me, that's the biggest thing, and that's a big if. Like, because if he's healthy, I mean, they could be a 2 seed. Like, I think they could be as high as a 2 seed. But like, call me crazy. But if he's not healthy, and you got Luka, having the full load of this team, it wouldn't even shock me if they don't even make the playoffs.
Which would be beneficial to who?
Which would be beneficial to the Knicks.
So I wouldn't be mad at that.
Yeah. So like, but to me, the West is so stacked. Like
Golden State is coming back.
Golden State's coming back. Like you think about that. You take away OKC, right? You want to take them out at a playoff team, but now you're adding Lakers. You got Denver. Denver to me is a good team. But
I was going to take Mavericks out because of the Kristaps, and I was going to put Denver in there. But Lakers, Golden State, Denver, Warriors,
Utah.
Phoenix is in the conversation now.
I think Phoenix is in the top conversation. Memphis on the come up.
Memphis, Portland.
That's 8 right there. Then you still got New Orleans battle. Can never count out San Antonio, right? That's what I'm saying. Like
Houston, if Harden stays,
if Harden's on the team, and even if he's not all in, they still, I think that's a playoff team. With John Wall, if John Wall plays
1, 2, 3, 4.
That's 10 teams. I think we listed right there. Like that's what I'm saying. Like if their Dallas was in the East, I'd be like, all right, they'll be a playoff team no matter what, and they can. But to me, if Kristaps is just going to be banged up the whole year, he ain't gonna, because he's not coming back till like January, February.
Yeah, he won't be here from the start. So
like if he comes back and he's still on and off, and then you got Luka who gets dinged up a little bit too. Can they? It's going to be tough for him to hold the. That's my thing with him. It's like
Luka's just so damn good,
he's
man.
So good, yeah.
I don't want to put it past him, because even when Kristaps got hurt against the Clippers, it was like but they were still pushing their ass, and they won one on his game winner. So it's like he's just so damn good. But you're right, man. It can get ugly out there if Kristaps don't come back, and then also you don't want to rush him, because that's their future. They've invested in that.
Because there's a bigger picture in Dallas than just this year. Like we gotta
remember, Luka is what, he probably just turned 21. Probably just had his first beer legally. So they do have a bigger picture to look at than this year. And it's the reality that the West is so unpredictable and so tough. Full strength, the Mavericks could still just be a 6 seed too. That's a reality as well. Like they can be the 2, like you said, but then it's also a reality where even at their best, because the West has gotten better, everybody's gotten better. They can still kind of, because they didn't get that much better to me.
No, they didn't get
like they got Josh Richardson, cool, but they're kind of still the same. Because
I think losing Seth Curry was huge.
I think so too.
That was a bigger loss than what people.
Tim Hardaway Jr.
He's
drafted Tyrell Terry.
Tyrell, that was a steal. I think that was a huge steal.
Yeah. But I think for them, they have to try to get Spencer Dinwiddie or Zach LaVine.
Yeah, I think they still need another piece because you can't rely on Kristaps to be healthy because he just hasn't shown it. Every year he's got hurt. You saw with the Knicks, he got hurt. Even though it was a catastrophic knee injury, but still, like it's piled on and piled on. So you can't rely. That's my biggest thing is like, all right, I love Luka. I think Luka could be the MVP of the league, but I could also see them being missing out. So that's my thing with Dallas is like, they could be a 2 seed, but then they could also be the 9th seed and miss out. So
miss out, and if they do.
I mean, it benefits us as Knicks fans. So, if that happens, then, I think, the off season is going to, it's going to be pretty for us. So it's going maybe everything coming full circle. Like I said, the basketball gods are
people aren't ready for that. They're not ready for the basketball gods to align all our stars and the Mavericks miss the playoffs. We do get the number 1 pick. It is Cade Cunningham. They're not ready for us to have that off season because the Knicks, you're ready to talk our shit.
They think Knicks Twitter and Knicks social media is bad now with us being bad. Just wait till we get Cade. If we get Cade, I'm gonna be reckless.
Me too.
I'm gonna be reckless.
Bro, for us to be so bad, like everybody said, we're at the tip of everybody's tongue. I've never seen such a garbage-ass team be so relevant. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. You know what's crazy? And I'm glad you mentioned it. When they were doing the draft, the lottery, and they had like a thread on NBA, the NBA's official account, and they were like, all right, number 1 pick, blah, blah, blah. And you see like only like 800, engagements with the Pistons and like then you get to the Knicks and it's like 20K. Like, and it's like, just wait till
we were projected to get the 6th overall pick. We dropped the 8. They clown us. Are you serious? 6 to 8, and you're going to try to act like that's some catastrophic drop. And in this class, that everybody's it's weak, but now it's a big deal. Or now it's it's like, dog, you're pretending like we had a shot to get the number 1 pick.
We had no shot.
Come on, bro.
We had a better shot to get 8 than we had number 1. So like,
exactly. You don't even watch the shit. You just want to laugh at the Knicks.
It's just it's the narrative now, like on ESPN, like whenever they could get time to clown. And listen, we've been bad and we deserve a lot of it, but it's like, all right, you guys. Too much now. All right, guys. Rachel Nichols, chill. We chill, Rachel Nichols.
It's like a contradiction.
Yeah.
Either we suck and we're irrelevant, or we suck and we are still the hottest team to talk about.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about the Pistons.
No one is.
I mean, I like Killian Hayes. Blake Griffin is a phenomenal basketball player, but there's 29 other teams I would rather talk about.
Exactly. Yeah,
we're not talking about the Cavs. You know what I mean?
No one. Especially without LeBron. They're definitely not talking about them.
Talking about Cleveland Cavaliers. I'm not, so it's just weird. But hey,
But like I said, if that happens and like you said, the NBA gods bless us, it's gonna be a joyous off season. It could be a really joyous off season. I can't go through another off season like last year. That's just like Zion. Like I would have been cool with just getting that. If you just said Zion, that's it. I'm cool with that. I think most fans would have been cool with just that.
You know what's funny with that? That guy only played 20-something games. Yeah. So the Knicks, we dodged a lot of just.
That's what I'm saying. The NBA guys did like, all right,
I would have took Jalo.
I would have took
Jalo.
I would have been fine with 2. But hey, it is what it is, and we gotta deal with it. But there's optimism. I feel like, last offseason, like I said, there was not a lot of optimism. It felt like, oh my God, there's no hope. There is no hope. Like I'm sure you felt like where's there's nothing. Like we're gonna suck forever. Like we're never gonna see a playoff ever. It really felt that way. But now they changed it, and that's what makes me feel good about the Knicks going forward. Like, all right,
we have a direction, and we have something to build on, and that's all we can ask for.
All we can ask for.
And we could just hope for the best in the future, man.
Yes, that's all we can ask for. That's all we want. We just want to see it, to know that they could possibly be, a brighter future.
Something can happen.
Yeah. So we'll see. Let's hope so. But Pierre, my man, I appreciate you coming on the show, bro. This was a lot of fun. I appreciate you're a busy man. I appreciate the time you took away to spend, chop it up with me for a little bit. I really appreciate it, bro.
No, I appreciate you having me on here. I appreciate the questions you came up with, made it fun, man.
Yeah.
You kind of got me on the highlight starting 5.
When I thought about it, I'm like, all right, I'm like, oh, this should be pretty easy. Like it's not, it's this. But I'm like, then I thought about it as I'm doing the question. I'm like, whoa, this is harder than I thought. This is
And I'm a
harder.
dude that I don't try to give the typical answers. I
Yeah,
don't want to.
yeah,
I don't want to say LeBron and Anthony
yeah.
Davis and shit like that. So it was tough. But no, I appreciate it, bro. Nick family got to stay together. Knicks
Exactly,
tape,
bro. Knicks tape all
and
day, bro.
happy holidays to you and your fam.
Yes.
Much blessings and love. And go Knicks.
Go Knicks, no Knicks. Yeah. So before we sign off, where can people find you on social media? Your shows, plug all that good stuff.
So Twitter, Pee Wee the Plug, Instagram, Pee Wee the Plug, HOH. And then you could just find me on YouTube, House of Highlights Through the Wire, Bleacher Report app, and then just follow me on Twitter. I show a lot of things. I got a lot of different things in the work with Bleacher Report outside of the podcast.
Yep.
But definitely just staying in tune on my Twitter or Instagram. You'll be able to find me on everything else. But for the most part, all of those: Twitter, Insta, and then YouTube.
Awesome. Pierre, appreciate you coming on the show, bro. This is a lot of fun. Like I said, I love your story. I love how you got a bunch of guys that do stuff that everyone does on the rag, and was able to create something really dope. So, continue success with the show, with everything at House of Highlights. And like I said, man, I'm rooting for you. Big fan of yours. So much success, brother, and much success to the podcast and everything.
Likewise, you too, bro. I'll see you.
Yep. That's Pierre, guys. Thank you for listening.